Welcome everyone, and thank you for joining us. We are at Riot Games with Ryan and Joe from Airship, and we are going to talk about Rune King, a League of Legends story, because it is out today. So we are super excited, and welcome guys. It's great to have you.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, it's a pleasure. Out today. It's really awesome.
Yep.
So guys, I mean, we love Battle Chasers. We love the work you've done before. We're going to get to see a lot of Rune King today. The game is out now. Can you just, ease us in? Tell us, what are we in store for Rune King?
Yeah, I mean, in a nutshell, it's a dungeon crawler and turn-based RPG that features the awesome champs from League of Legends. It has some similarities to the first RPG we did, Battle Chasers, but really evolves it in some key ways, most notably in the presentation of the story. Battle Chasers skewed much more heavily towards the dungeon crawling, and while there's still plenty of that in Rune King, this is where we're given our first chance to really double down on story. Story is the key difference, I think.
Rune King is going to be the single biggest story we've ever told for League of Legends in a game. Like, this is easily, the biggest story beat we've, ever done.
Yeah.
Like, I can't wait for players to get their hands on it.
The most champions, deep relationships.
Most champions, we get to go to some places that we've never been able to take players to before. I mean...
Oh, yeah, and the script ended up being huge. I don't even know how many pages it is, but for us, it's the most story we've ever done in a game
we're over 100,000 lines at this point,
yeah.
Easily.
Yeah,
for sure.
And many VO sessions with some amazing actors, quite honestly, some really great ones. So.
I think hearing the VO and watching the scenes come to life is one of my favorite parts of the process, because you never know how the lines are going to land or if the humor is going to work, and then hearing the actors perform it and getting it in the game is amazing. I think this real starting point was that we knew we wanted to do Bilgewater as the focus.
I remember.
And then it was what champs would make sense. Obviously you have Misfortune, Alawi, and we didn't want everyone to be from Bilgewater because it's cool to experience the city through the eyes of someone from foreign lands, and then so we had Yasuo and Ari from Ionia and Braum from the Freljord.
What was it about Bilgewater which, caught your guys' eye or caught your attention?
I mean, I knew the artists in particular would get excited about, we love pirates and that theme, morally gray characters. And it just was just for that reason, storytelling and visuals, it would just got us the most excited. And then it happened to have characters that actually have really cool stories happening, cool relationships, with Misfortune.
Yeah.
And Alawi, and obviously the Shadow Isles being right next door.
You get the Shadow Isles as a bargain when you get Bilgewater.
Exactly. So it just it came together really quickly for us.
It was an intimidating choice, though, because when we decided that that's where we wanted to set the game, it was almost immediate. But we almost tried to talk ourselves out of it just because of the challenge of trying to bring a city like Bilgewater to life. And the team working on the game isn't huge, but we felt pretty dedicated to trying, and we really couldn't look away from that challenge. And it was a challenge, but now when you run around in Bilgewater and seeing that we really pulled it off, it's so much fun just to get lost in Bilgewater and explore it.
Yeah, and the game's just gorgeous. So you guys have done an amazing job. Every time I play, I just find something else in Bilgewater, like another creature or another NPC that I'm just this is really cool, I get to experience.
That's the fun part about finishing a game, is when you get to close to the end, that's when you can really start focusing on those the fun moments like that, the little secrets, Easter eggs, little additional, love letters to the IP, to people who are familiar with League. We've had a lot of fun with it in the last 6 months. And of course, like we did with Battle Chasers, really any game we've worked on, even pre-Airship, dungeon crawling is important. So having that space to build, puzzles in the way that we do, and the champs each having some unique way of interacting with the environment. Some involves combat, some of it involves solving puzzles. We were glad that we got to infuse League of Legends with a bit of dungeon crawling.
So we've got someone playing live with us here today, so it'd be great just to have a walk through and talk about what we're seeing.
Yeah, so just from the beginning, isometric camera, 3D dungeons. As soon as you touch a creature, or if they come in contact with you, go to sort of the classic view of turn-based combat.
And talk a bit about the combat here, because you guys have made some pretty cool changes to how this system works.
Yeah, it looks familiar to people who played Battle Chasers, but it really is vastly different. And the most significant addition is what you see at the bottom, which is the lane system, which gives you, well, actually there are two components to it. One, the player can actually change the speed of their attack to move them forward or backward in the timeline with a functional effect. The middle lane, the balance lane, is a nice balance between speed and power. If you need to pull off an attack quickly, you can move into the speed lane, and you'll potentially move ahead of another actor in the scene, but at the cost of some of the ability's power. And if you just need to hit hard or heal hard, you can go down into the power lane, which is going to take more time to cast, but has a much more dramatic effect. You can also see on the initiative bar that blue box. See the lanes. That blue box there is a hazard or a boon. Those get applied sometimes randomly, sometimes because of something that a creature does in the course of battle. And when it gets to the end of the timeline, anything that is inside that box will be affected by it, whether it's an AoE damage attack, or it could be a heal, it could be a buff to your crit chance. So it adds a real element of strategy, because now you have to think about not just whether you want to hit harder or move more quickly, but where you're going to end up in relation to those in those hazards. So it plays, I would say, we've called it like a puzzle combat system in the past to try and describe how strategic it is. Which is really what makes it significantly different than Battle Chasers, which is a little more traditional to the old school JRPGs. Each of the champs has a unique dungeon skill that they can use, and if it's used on a creature, it'll initiate combat. So Yasuo hit him with his tornado and threw him straight into combat. And those will have different effects. It might slow the enemy down. It might start you, in Alawi's case, when she hits with her tentacle, she'll start combat with one tentacle spawned, and that's kind of her trick. Each of the champs has some sort of hook to try and make them interesting in combat, but also to call back to who they are in League of Legends, the core game. Right. Braum is concussion. Every time you hit, it puts a stack of concussive blow on, and after a while, enough build up, and it'll stun the creature. But once that's on there, other champs can help contribute to that once it's been applied. So you can, if you have a lot of Alawi's tentacles up, every time they smack, they're adding to that stack and building to the stun more quickly. It's pretty... Yeah, and there are a lot of examples of synergy like that between the champs for players to play with. And this is our art and animation at its finest with the alts.
Yeah.
So how many alts are there for each champion?
Each champ has 3, and in each champ's case, we tried to make sure that one of them was a call to
League of Legends,
the alt in League of Legends. But one of the things that was really an interesting challenge too was it's a JRPG, but it's got to have you got to have your roles, right? You need party members who will skew tank and you need healing. Yeah. And there wasn't a lot of when we picked these 6 champs, we didn't necessarily have the one that stood out as like, oh, this character this champ is a healer in League of Legends. So it was fun to actually get to evolve some of these champs in a new way. And, because Alawi really reads as a tank. Yeah. Braum obviously reads as a tank, but being able to make Alawi a healer was kind of fun.
I will admit, I love seeing your take on some enemies that we've seen before in the world of Runeterra as well. I remember one of the first concepts you did for the Razorfin. And it was the most hulked out Razorfin I've ever seen. I think if we go, it's the one at the top here. On the top on the left.
Yeah. The Mysteria makes it fun.
This Razorfin has been hitting the gym and is ripped. And I'm like, no, this is Joe Mad's take on our Razorfins. And that's what I love seeing in the enemies.
It's like, are they kind of like a rat kind of thing? What if it has like a shark face?
I remember the first time we saw that and we were like, these enemies are going to be so cool.
This is exactly why we wanted to work with you. But seeing like, Joe, you realize our champs and our, enemies and world like through your style is just exciting for me. I think it's going to be exciting for players too.
I think so.
Yeah, and to be honest, even before I learned a lot about League, like the game, I had always been a fan of just the art. And League of Legends and Riot has some of the best artists in the world, and I've always just followed them. And so I was already like kind of influenced personally, and I know a lot of our team, like Ryan mentioned, they're just League players, so it was just a good marriage of styles. Like we like the same stuff and we like the same art, So it was like a natural fit. It was not a stretch by any means to, work on these characters.
It was new territory for me, and I was, I think, unaware of I was blown away when I heard there were 140 champs we had to pick from, or more than that, I think, at the time. And somehow we had to pick just 6. We were relieved when we realized, well, hey, they don't all have to be playable. You can fight some of them too, and those are some of our coolest boss fights when you get to go toe-to-toe with another league champ. I was initially overwhelmed, but it's been nice getting to know a little bit more about this world that has so much untapped storytelling potential.
Yeah. I do think too, like flip side, there was a benefit to us coming in and like having to learn a lot of it, because I think that the game is very approachable. People have asked, I don't like really know the story of League of Legends. I don't know these champs. Like, am I going to be lost? And you're not, because part of the beauty there is that we had to learn a lot about it. And so I think it's presented in a way that a new player can also like familiarize themselves with it, like we had to do.
And on the Easter egg front, I'm excited for players who really know it best. The little props hiding around, the names of some of the NPCs, they're going to get it, and I think it's good. They're going to feel a little extra special knowing that when they see it.
There's over 100 lore drops in the game.
Yeah, there's a lot of reading in this game.
There's a lot of depth and Easter eggs there for the players that want to go and lift up, every carpet and look in every barrel.
Yeah,
I really honestly see Ruin King as a love letter to storytelling and the lore from our from Runeterra in our world, and I hope our community and fans see it that way too.
So Ruin King's out today. Have you got any tips for players that are going to start digging in?
There is a pretty robust tutorial system, so if you're a skipper, if you don't skip, it will help.
Don't skip the tutorial.
Don't skip the tutorial.
Yeah, don't underestimate the value and importance of being in the right spot in the lanes. Use the speed lane, use the power lane. Probably the biggest tip I would give anyone who's playing on anything but story mode is in the top right corner. You'll see in a fight, often the creatures have some sort of quirk that makes them more difficult to battle. You can't just go up and punch them in the face. They'll have some trick, like the Razorfin up there, for example, has a high chance to evade because of a buff he's got on him. But if you attack him with a speed lane attack, it'll knock that buff off. And a lot of the creatures have something like that makes them uniquely challenging. And so read those tooltips in the top right corner. Pay attention to the creature you're fighting and use the lane system to its full effect. And yeah, you'll have a much easier go of it than if you ignore that stuff. You're going to find some of the fights to be very difficult.
I would add too, try different character and party makeup. A lot of the characters have synergies with each other that you may discover. Everyone has their favorites, but it definitely changes the flow of combat depending on who you're using in your party. So once you unlock the 6, just mix and match and see who your favorites are.
Okay, we have to talk about the Ruin King. Viego he's our namesake for the game. The game is called Ruin King. He's our big bad.
So early on, when we had established Bilgewater and the Shadow Isles as like the threat to Bilgewater, and we're figuring out who is the main bad guy in this game, and you actually were like, hey, well, there's this character. We never really did anything with it. There's an item in the game called Blade of the Ruin King, but we don't have a Ruin King.
That's how Rowan earned the nickname Rowan King.
Yeah, he's the Ruin King.
My favorite meme from Dev. But I mean, many players here probably don't know that the Ruin King's an idea that's been kicking around Riot for a little while, and I felt like this is a great opportunity to like realize him at his full maximum power level in an RPG and watch him do his thing, and then it fits great with your style, and it was vibing on all the things you were looking for. So
yeah, and as soon as we learned more about him, it was just like a perfect fit.
And then there was a lot of cross collaboration there, not just between you guys and Forge, but also for the team over on League of Legends for Summoner's Rift to eventually realize what went on to become Viego in Summoner's Rift. The genesis of that started back with Forge and with Ruin King the RPG. So,
and seeing him go live in League of Legends was awesome for the team, though. It really felt obviously special to us seeing him come to life and
Yeah, I mean, the visuals mostly came from you guys. Obviously, it was a collaboration, but I think Joe was the first one to visualize him in his form.
Yeah, and it was funny because we were kind of going in tandem, and so we would do some stuff that the League team was like, ooh, we're going to do that, and then they would do some stuff that we're like, ooh, we're putting that in the game. Can I get more of those VFX shots or whatever?
I remember sitting around waiting for you guys to give us some info on what you were planning to do with this kit, and then Steve, the combat lead, translating that into his attacks in Ruin King. But then also that was fun back and forth.
That we could go above and beyond what they were doing on the kit for Summoner's Rift, because you guys aren't bound by Summoner's Rift. We can do,
RPG.
And I feel like that different flavor that you've got as well, like Ruin King in League is a little more smolder. He's a little more romantic. Ruin King, for us, it's Old Testament. He's wrathful and powerful, and
bitter.
He's going to crush you. And I really like seeing that different interpretation that you guys have versus the League version.
Yeah,
it was a lot of fun.
So the game is out today. Super excited for everyone to play. Any final thoughts to share with our players?
This is the first time we've done this type of release. I think everybody, just speaking as a game developer, we're so accustomed to the typical announce the game, sort of traditional marketing run up to release, pre-orders, all that stuff. The idea that we get to stealth launch or sudden launch like this it's refreshing, because it's not something that I think a lot of developers get to do. It's typically
just surprise players with it.
Surprising players with it is awesome. So I'm hoping that players are as surprised by it as we were that we were doing this. It's pretty cool.
Joe, anything else?
Yeah, and I would just hope that everyone has fun with the game, and we look forward to all the feedback and player reactions. We're super excited to see how people respond, and just a shout out to our team that worked really hard on it. I think players will feel the hard work and effort and love that went into making the game.
It was definitely a unique challenge and felt like a lot of responsibility working in League of Legends, and I know the team, they were excited to do it, and I wish we could name every one of them by name, but they've truly put in they put themselves into the game, and it shows.
Yeah, you can see it. It's like every love and kindness and everything going into the game. So
I would say thanks from our lore fans and community for the amount of respect that you guys treated with holding the characters. I think it really comes through in the game.
Thank you guys.
Yeah,
you helped with that.
A partnership.
Yeah.
Well, thank you guys for spending the time with Rowan and I to chat about Ruin King. We are super excited. It is out today, so go and play and have a lot of fun. I know we will be. So thank you so much for joining us.